Hello, good afternoon. This is David Soto talking to you, and today is my weekly trade predictions for the upcoming trading week of July 8th through July 12th, 2019. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at all the major currency pairs, and I'm going to give you my analysis of what I think is going to happen this coming week based on what has happened this previous week, okay? So I'm going to start with a 15-minute chart, and then we're going to progress up into some bigger time frames to kind of get an overall big picture and see what the market is doing and where we think the price will be headed to on each pair. So to start with, we have Euro USD, right? And this past Friday was non-farm payroll, okay? And with non-farm payroll, we saw a slight increase in the value of the US dollar, despite there was a increase in the number of jobs, but also the unemployment rate increased at the same time. And that's bad for the economy, okay? You don't want the unemployment rate to go up. So that's kind of like sending mixed signals to investors. Okay, you got more jobs created, but yet the unemployment rate went up. So you have more people unemployed while there's more jobs created at the same time. It kind of don't make any sense. So investors kind of don't know which way to trade. And typically with that type of scenario, people will buy the U.S. dollar because it's always the strongest currency in the world, and people will buy that first. But then, within an hour or two after the initial release of the NFP, then things can kind of simmer down, and investors can see what's happening, and then they can really make a good decision on which way to trade. Okay, and this is evident with like USD Canadian dollar right here. Okay, we look at this one, USD Canadian dollar. I'm going to show you this real quick. This has shot up on Friday, and then within an hour or two, it shot right back down. And the reason being is because both of these currencies, US dollar, Canadian dollar, they both had bad news with their job report. So when things like that happen, investors really don't know which way to go. And it's going to take some time, and it's kind of not really a good time to trade when you have when both of these pairs have the same bad news. Now, if the Canadian dollar had really good news and the US dollar had bad news, then I would definitely be going for the Canadian dollar, buying the Canadian dollar. Okay? But when they both have the bad, or they both have good news, it's 50-50, okay? So what we want to note, though, is that pretty much this past week, the US dollar has weakened. Okay? It did pick up some on Friday because of the NFP, but it's going to quickly lose value again. All right, that's my kind of guess of what's going to happen this coming week. So if we start with Euro USD, we see it is kind of stagnant this past week. You had a flat range of motion and not too much movement. Okay, you could catch a few pips, a few hundred pips up and down, and these short ranges here, but pretty much it was dead. You see these candles here are very, very small, right? And this one went up a little bit and it came right back down. So now on Friday, and it shot down because the US dollar shot up, which caused this one to shoot down. Now this coming week, we see this already starting to slowly creep up. So we're going to see a continuation of a downtrend forming for the US dollar, which is going to cause the euro to go up. Okay, if that makes any sense. Same thing with pound USD, okay? It was in a pretty much flat range of motion as well, and then dropped off on Friday, and has already started to creep back up again. And we're going to see this continue to creep up, okay? And we look here at Australian dollar, US dollar, New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Kind of the same thing. Both of these pairs have actually gained in value, and they're taking advantage of the weakening of the US dollar. So we can see that Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar in the beginning of the week started to creep up slowly, right? And then towards the end of the week, they both just took a big drop because of the non-farm payroll NFP this past Friday. Okay, so but we can see also that it's slowly starting to creep back up. If we look at AUD, USD, it's almost identical movement between those two pairs, right? And New Zealand dollar and the Australian dollar typically move in the same kind of fashion, right? So we should be able to see these two pairs gaining this week. All right, so that's my prediction. The Euro USD, Pound USD, Australian dollar, and New Zealand dollars, those pairs should be gaining this week. Okay. Now, how we can really, determine this is look at a higher time frame. Look at the 4-hour and daily. All right. The 4-hour shows a down arrow here. There's no up arrow formed, but it is hitting this strong area of support right here that it hit previously. So even if it drops a little more, we still should see an uptrend form. If you look at the 1-hour, it's already got an up arrow. Okay, so in the 4-hour, not yet. It may form come Monday, and the daily already has the last arrow here was an up arrow, so it's kind of forming an uptrend. If we draw a line like this, we see a perfect uptrend develop here. Okay, so I'm thinking that it's going to bounce off of this line here and continue up. I feel like it's definitely going to be going up. And the same thing with Pound USD. Okay, if we look at the higher time frames on Pound USD, this is the 4-hour, so it's already formed an up arrow, and it's starting to go up as we speak. And the daily is the same way, and the weekly is the same way. Okay, so long term, Pound USD and Euro USD is going to be going up. Okay, because we're going to see a drop in the value of the US dollar. Now let's look at Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. If we go to a 4-hour chart, we see that this is getting ready to come down, right? But if we look at the daily, we see an up arrow only right here. Let me shift the chart so you can see this better. We only have an up arrow. So long term, this is going to be going up. If you look on the weekly, all we have is an up arrow, right? So this is definitely, in my opinion, headed into an up trend. All right, we should be buying. We should be looking to buy only. If we draw a trend line like this, it's already forming a nice trend line. Okay, so it's just a matter of time before this shoots back up. If I go to the 1-hour, well, maybe 4-hour, I don't know. Gotta kind of shift this a little bit, but you see, let me delete that. Okay, here we go. But if we draw a trend line like this going up, that should be all the points connected. Now we have one, technically we only have 2 points that connected, all right? So we need a third point to make this a solid trend line. And what's going to happen is, I think, is that this is going to shoot up, and then it's going to hit this area of resistance and shoot back down again. All right, sometime towards the end of the week. If I draw a line right here and mark this area of resistance right here, you see what's called a rising wedge pattern, okay? And when you have a rising wedge going like that, then what's going to happen is the price is going to get trapped inside of here, and eventually it's going to break out and shoot back down. But for this week, I see that this is definitely going to be going up, because the US dollar is going to be going down in value. And now the same thing is going to happen with the New Zealand dollar. If we look here on the 4-hour, we have a down arrow here, but we have an up arrow. And then the daily, all we have is an up arrow. Okay, so I would be looking long term, I'd be looking to buy New Zealand dollar and US dollar. Okay, I mean New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar, I would be looking to buy these currency pairs. Okay, now moving on to USD Swiss franc and all these USD pairs here. Okay, if these other ones would be going up, then US dollar should be going down. Okay. Now we see on Friday it just spiked up because of the non-farm payroll, and it's kind of stagnant right now, but we should see it dropping down. And if we go to a higher time frame, like the 4 hour or 1 hour, 1 hour shows down and the 4 hour does not. It still shows up, and the daily shows up, but the weekly shows down. Okay, and the monthly as well. So if we go to the weekly, I'm going to show you something. We see a downtrend right here, okay? And this is not 100% perfect, but you kind of get the idea, okay? We see this trend line right here forming, and on this trend line, this price has almost touched us already, and it's starting to come down a little bit. If we come here on the 4 hour, see, it's already starting to come down on the 4 hour. Okay. If I zoom out a little bit, I'll have to adjust this, but it's okay. I can do like that, okay? So we have, this will give you a kind of a better picture of what's going on with the market. And we see we have these points that line up perfect. So based on what I'm seeing here, even though we do not have a red arrow here yet, come Monday we might see one, I don't know. But regardless, we have a strong downtrend. And this US dollar has hit this trend line now, is already starting to come back down just a little bit. So we should see a continued drop of US dollar Swiss franc this coming week. Okay, I will be looking to sell only for the US dollar. Same thing here with the Japanese yen. US dollar, Japanese yen. It has gained this past week, shot up some because of the non-farm payroll. And if we look at the 4 hour daily, it shows the buy only, right? There's no sell signals. So technically it should be going up. But one thing we need to look at here is, if I look at the daily, we see that we have a downtrend. Okay, let me draw a trend line. And this is not perfect, but so I'm not sure exactly how I want to draw this, but we have a downtrend right here. Now it has kind of sort of broken this, right? So with that said, I think it's going to go up. Typically US dollar, Japanese yen, USD JPY has an opposite effect of what the USD Swiss franc does, but we know that the US dollar has been weakening. Okay, so I would not expect this to go up too much. We see here on the 1 hour we have a sell signal, right? So we can expect this, and this is my guess, is that this is going to continue down this trend line, okay? Even though on the higher time frames it has broken trend, I'm thinking we're going to see this price drop back down to where this support level here was, okay? And then this price is going to drop back down to here, and then eventually we'll see this break a new uptrend. Okay, I could be totally wrong on this one, but keep in mind that the US dollar overall is weakening. So do not expect for this USD JPY to be going up too much. Okay, even though it typically does have an opposite effect, it could be going up, but I really don't think it will. Alright, I think it's going to trick all of us, and we're going to think it's going to go up, but it's actually going to go down. So now USD Canadian dollar, moving on. This one is been dropping Okay, it's been dropping all this past week. It shot up a little bit on Friday. And if let me show this chart here. If we look at the daily, okay, it wants to go up, right? Because the Canadian dollar is weakened a lot. So it finally hit some strong levels of support. So based on what we're seeing here, we should see the US dollar go back up some. Okay, now US dollar Canadian dollar is a kind of a unique pair to trade on its own, because both of these pairs are kind of, they're on the same continent, they're kind of interconnected together. Okay, and they really have a strong effect on one another, and quite often they're like polar opposites, but they really breed off one another. Now if we look here on the weekly chart, we only see a down arrow, so kind of technically we're still in a downtrend. And if I zoom in on this, watch this. This is not perfect, but we kind of see a downtrend, right? If I go up a little bit, now this candle has shot up higher, so it's hard to say, but we kind of get an idea that this is in a downtrend. Now that's on a weekly chart. If I go to the 4 hour, I zoom out, and see, this is kind of hard to say exactly what's going to happen, but we do have a downtrend right here, okay, and it hit this line and started to come back down again. Now you say, okay, well, we have an up arrow here. What does that mean? What I think is going to happen, we had an up arrow here and then that was broken. So it's come up a little bit. I think it's going to break and come down even further. Okay. Now I could be totally wrong. And all you have to do in this type of situation is wait for this trend line to be broken. If it shoots up about 100 points or more above, let's just say above this level here, where it hit the last candle that touched this trend line, okay, if it shoots up above that again, then you definitely want to buy. Okay, it shoot up outside of this trend line. But I'm thinking that this is going to trick you and it's going to drop even further. And we have this level of support, which is down here, okay, that it could potentially drop to. We had this level here before, and I can bring this down here just to show you, but this was a level of support previously, but it has already broken that. Okay, so that kind of leads me to believe that yes, this will be going down even further. Now how far will it go? Will it go all the way down to here? It could go down to maybe this level. It could go to this level. Okay, it could go to, I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Maybe this level, I don't know. But anyhow, I most likely would be looking to sell this week, or if it breaks this trend line, then we can buy. Either way. But do not buy unless this trend line is broken. Okay? So anyhow, that's my analysis for this week for each currency pair. Overall, the US dollar should be continuing to drop this week. Okay? It's going to fight back a little bit, but I think overall the US dollar will drop. And this will allow other pairs like Euro USD, Pound USD, AUD USD, New Zealand Dollar USD, these other major currency pairs, those should go up as a result. Okay? So keep that in the back of your mind. Okay? The other major pairs, currency pairs you want to buy. The USD pairs you want to sell. Okay? Unless you see some kind of trend line broken, I would not buy the US dollar. Okay? So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. There is a link below for my personal Facebook account that you can contact me on. Also, there is a link below for my private Facebook group. So if you have any questions or comments, you can post those in my Facebook group. That way, myself or other traders can assist you, and we can all kind of collaborate together. Okay? So with that said, I hope you have a wonderful trading week ahead, and just let me know if any questions, and I'll be happy to help you. Thank you.